Welcome back to the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Marina Kim with the latest stories, and here are headlines. The new political tandem, public activist Жасар Alkuan intends to run for presidency together with another potential candidate, Vladimir Kozlov. Real estate investors in Astana now treat their pickets like work, since their protest actions have long become a daily routine. Music community of Kazakhstan complains about the lack of professionals to discover new talented youth. On Wednesday, the leader of the association Jasa Azatik Жасар Alkuan officially announced his intention to run for the next presidential elections in a tandem with another potential candidate, Vladimir Kozlov. This way, they set a precedent for Kazakhstan when future opponents in the presidential race will act as allies. More importantly, both Kozlov and Kuanyshalin say that they are driven by only one goal: to change the country's political system. The announcement of the Jasa Azatik leader was made in the National Press Center in Almaty, the same premise where Vladimir Kozlov was pelted with eggs last week during the announcement of his intentions. Interestingly, the head of the club, Kazim Ataev, hinted that Wednesday's press conference could be the last of the kind that features potential presidential candidates.
The partners decided to work as a tandem during their campaign trail. Both candidates will use absolutely the same platform, which includes transitory presidency, effective and fast purging of Nazarbayev's staff, and then voluntary resignation of the president.
Задача главная – это изменить нашу страну.
The main goal is to change the country by changing the state management system and making it actually serve people, and not a bunch of oligarchs. This is what we've been missing for 20 years. If there will be elections, and if we will win with God's help, we will become transitional presidents. In addition, both candidates will double for each other. In the end, the one objectively stronger tandem partner will remain in the race with the added bonus of the votes for the other. Running as allies for presidency is unique for Kazakhstan and other countries of the region. Usually the trail is accompanied by rivalry, vilification, etc., but we understand that we both have separate target audiences and they will become the one common electorate. This tactics of the double impact should allow collecting more votes, both political and ethnic. Additionally, it will work as security during possible provocations and removal from the race. The authorities have a lot of administrative opportunities to remove one of us. Thus, the time we will spend together on the campaign trail will help the remaining candidate win. Until the official start of the presidential race, Жасар Alkuan intends to focus on fundraising for the future campaign. I don't care who will support us financially. If I strive for something and some people want to help me, why would I refuse? I would be a fool if I did. At the end of press conference, the leader of the association, Jasa Azatik, said that presidents do not just appear, they live among regular people. Thus, the more candidates there will be, the better. Since there is still quite some time before the elections and there are already two candidates, Kazakh citizens just might see several dozen potential presidents by the end of the campaign. That is, if the elections will be held at all.
During the same press conference, Жасар Alkuan, who actually took part in the events of December 1986, once again condemned the actions of the movement Zheltakstan 86, who insulted Vladimir Kozlov last week. Kuanyshalin feels that by denying Kozlov the right to even wish to run for presidency, they violate the constitution of the country. More criticism was directed at Talgat Raskolbekov, who was especially aggressive during the press conference on October 27th. Kuanyshalin even addressed him, saying, quote, "If you are a brother of a Zheltakstan hero, you should act accordingly and not disgrace his name." It should be noted that not all members of Zheltakstan movement support the egg-pelting incident. After all, the movement unites 7 different associations, and some of them have quite contradictory views. In the meantime, news agencies reported on Wednesday that Talgat Raskolbekov and Gulbahram Juniz, the activist behind the infamous incident, were charged with disorderly conduct by the Almaty District Court. Raskolbekov will spend the next week in jail, while Juniz got off easy with a $100 fine.
7 days in jail and fine of $100. This is the payback for disrupting the press conference of the political bloc Narodovlastia, the Democracy, on October 27th. The Medeo District Court of Almaty recognized the actions of the Zheltoksan 86 movement members as hooliganism. The main agger of the country, Talgat Raskulbekov, was found guilty and subsequently sent to the isolation ward of the Internal Affairs Department. The actions of the Internal Affairs Department prevented further hooliganism while all necessary materials have been collected. Another participant of the action, Gulbahram Junis, was also found guilty and fined for less than $100. The court has taken into account the fact that Junis is a disabled person. The activist, however, still believes all the blame should be placed on Vladimir Kozlov. We admit that we have damaged the walls of the press club, but the eggs were targeted at Kozlov and he evaded them, so they hit the walls. During the briefing in the Internal Affairs Department, it was revealed that journalist Sharip Kurakbayev, who was assaulted by Gulbahram, has not filed any claims. Instead, it was done by the director of the National Press Club, Seid Kazim Ataev. After the incident a week ago, the club tightened its security and introduced face control. Zheltoksan members no longer welcome here. We have decided not to work with them anymore, even if they will appeal to us. The damaged wall has been repainted at the expense of the press club, but the flag is still dirty. Seid Kazim Ataev says that it will be very hard to wash away a stain like that from the reputation of the public movement.
Also on Wednesday, the leaders of the political bloc Narodovlastia, the Democracy, Gazi Saldamzharov and Vladimir Kozlov, filed an action to the General Prosecution Office and the Almaty National Security Committee Department. They want to instigate a criminal case against representatives of the movement Zheltoksan 86. The opposition refused to accept the incident on October 27 as hooliganism and demand to view it as incitement of social, ethnic, racial or religious hatred.
For several days we collected all video materials available and decoded everything that was said there, so that in the end we could present a sound, legally supported document.
Residents of Saran in the Karaganda region demand the local authorities to provide them with heating. The situation in the town is puzzling. The heating season in the region was launched 2 weeks ago, and the administration reported to the government that all premises have been linked to the heating network. Nevertheless, more than 50,000 residents of the largest mining town Satellite are still freezing in their apartments.
It seems that ice age has come to Saran. More than 50,000 people are freezing in this small town in the Karaganda region. The temperature is below 6 degrees Celsius and no central heating. The residents are outraged as the tariffs for heating in Saran are the highest in the region. While the administration officials are swimming in the pool, we fill bottles with hot water to keep us warm at night. The hot tea that we make turns into an ice in the matter of seconds. The temperature in the apartment stays at about 11 degrees Celsius, says Valentina Babayeva. The town has 20 private boilers, but they are worthless, says the woman. In addition, Saran is not linked to the hot water network. We will have to pay a lot for energy as we use electric heaters all night long. The local administration is ignoring the population. The security didn't let people enter the city administration. The heating was launched on October 22nd, and the temperature parameters correspond to the outside conditions. The second boiler will be started in winter to increase the output. The authorities are not in a hurry to explain why the houses are still cold. In the meantime, town residents say that they are ready for extreme measures, and the first step will be meeting with the governor of the region.
On Wednesday, real estate investors in Astana picketed the office of the state fund Samruk Kazana. Previously, their actions were held next to the government palace, the building housing the ruling party Nuratan, and the general prosecutor's office. The defrauded co-investors openly say that the wave of their protests is timed specifically for the eve of the OSCE summit.
It is impossible to count the number of letters these people wrote. The new petition from the real estate investors should reach the chairman of the National Welfare Fund Samruk Kazana Kairat Kilimbetov. The co-investors ask him to defer the mortgage payments and drop the fines over the overdue loans. The financial crisis has buried the hopes of many who dreamed of owning a house. We want to draw the attention to the real estate investors who ended up in these oppressive conditions. The The real estate investors hope that the upcoming OSCE summit will be the best opportunity to speak up about their rights, and the invited heads of states will be able to influence the leadership of the country in solving social problems. This is why protest actions are turning into a daily routine. Just in the last 7 days, the activists brought their mail to 4 state organizations.
Ну почему они за высоким забором сидят? Никто не вышел, никто не
Co-investors can now be regularly seen next to the offices of various state bodies. At the government palace, they demand to cancel the amendments to the bill that exacerbates the situation of the mortgage holders. At the office of the ruling party, they seek to reopen the public reception for the real estate investors. At the Supreme Court, ask for justice, claiming that the city courts deliberately make decisions in favor of developers. The state officials assure that all of these letters are delivered on time. We do know about the situation. Last time they were here, they left some documents. In the meantime, the co-investors themselves feel that all their messages are ignored by their addressees. This is why they have planned their actions for a month ahead to make sure that at least one of them will be noticed at the top.
Almaty has hosted an international conference building bridges between Central Asia and Eastern Europe. The main organizers of the event were Kazakhstan and Lithuania. This is quite symbolic since Lithuania will assume the OSCE chairmanship next year at the end of Kazakhstan's term.
In this aspect, Baltic states and Kazakhstan need to coordinate their work in many directions, although talks at the conference seemed to avoid specific questions. More abstract topics were discussed instead, for instance about the possible relations of the East and West. Only a handful of Kazakh experts were able to cite any tangible benefits of the meeting with European analysts.
Нас интересует прежде всего, конечно, опыт.
We are foremost interested in the experience of social and economical modernization of these states, their common development and the way they build the post-industrial economy. After all, it is obvious that trading resources and raw materials is the thing of the past. Even then, the West is still interested in Kazakh resources, as Europeans are pragmatic about mutual integration. For instance, Lithuanian delegates didn't even try to conceal their priorities in Kazakhstan.
Есть очень много энергетических ресурсов, много.
There are many energy resources in the region, and also various metals are extracted here. That is why we are interested in a possible exchange with Kazakhstan. We need to know what we can offer in return. The topic of NATO's interest in Central Asia and Kazakhstan was also raised at the conference. Foreign experts tried to present and persistent attempts of the alliance to penetrate the region not as military strategy, but a wider organization-oriented goal, with its socio-economic projects. It seems that this explanation was embraced by Kazakh delegates. There are many questions that NATO can help solve. Today it's a partner organization that can become a body to provide security of oil pipelines. In this sense, no matter what is done, the only bridge from the west to east would still have to be run through oil and gas pipes. It is also understandable that Lithuania, which will chair the OSCE in 2011, was not really interested in any other issues like violation of human rights. In the end, Kazakhstan has nothing to propose to the West in this particular direction.
The ban on the export of fuel from Kazakhstan is extended to May 2011. According to the Cabinet's decree, the prohibition applies to light distillation, kerosene and gas oil products, but not special gasoline and domestic heating fuel.
The Ministry of Economic Development will notify all customs union members about the ban. The ban on the export of fuel was introduced in late May of this year. First, the sanction was in effect until July and then extended until November. The reason for the ban is the shortage of fuel in the country.